Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Joyce Shanahan, and I'm the city manager for the city of Ormond Beach. And you're here tonight for the second OBlife series meeting on the Westward focus. So we're really glad you're here. You know, my heart swells with pride in Ormond Beach to see how many people come out and care so much about this community. Last time we had about 100 people in the room and 470 people viewed the video online. So that tells me how much you all care about Ormond Beach, and I am so proud about that. I can't tell you. You may be wondering why we're talking about this. We're talking about this area because there's going to be a large development called Avalon Park Daytona that's going to be west of here, and we have some concerns about that, and we wanted to share those with you. On behalf of the City Commission, I again thank you for coming out tonight, and Mayor Bill Partington will come out and welcome you as well. Our facilitator tonight is Michelle Bono. She has 25 years of local government experience in Florida. She is deeply committed to ensuring residents are involved in their community, and she has a real passion for Ormond Beach. She assisted us with our first 2018 OBlife series. So again, thank you so much for coming out, and Mr. Mayor, I would like to welcome you.
Thank you, Joyce. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Bill Partington, and I'd like to take a minute to welcome you all to the second OBlife Westward Focus meeting. We are joined tonight by Commissioner Selby from Zone 1. Commissioner, thank you for being here. Also, the developer of Avalon is Biat Kali, and he's been kind enough 2 occasions now to join us, and he is here in the back as well. Biat, thank you for being here. It's a little bit of a drive from Orlando, but we appreciate you joining us. With the holidays well underway, we really appreciate the time that you're taking out of your busy schedules to be here, to share your thoughts and ideas with us. We are very grateful to continue to have the guiding voices of our residents to follow us as we advocate on behalf of Ormond Beach. Just last night, I met with the Citizens for Ormond Beach, which is a great organization that's heavily involved in Ormond Beach issues. After that, I went to the Volusia League of Cities, which is a group of all the county elected officials, and we discussed things like low-impact development, where the water is going to come from for new growth, how we're going to provide the services, all those kind of things that we're covering in this series. Your elected officials on a countywide basis are looking at very, very constantly. So we want to have your voices, your input guiding us, and we can follow that as we continue to advocate on your behalf. The priorities that you all set tonight will help us shape our upcoming discussions, and we value each and every opinion and idea shared with us. Thank you again for being here and working with us. We're very grateful to each and every one of you for being a part of this process and for making Ormond Beach the amazing community that it is. Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We appreciate it. How many of you were here for the first meeting? Would you raise your hand if you were here for the first meeting? All right, fantastic. I recognize some of the faces from folks who'd asked questions before. One of the things that you always wonder is, right, does local government listen? If you found a way to this facility tonight easier than the first meeting, that's because local government listened, right? We definitely got some feedback that people had a little bit harder time finding the facility. So we had hopefully better signage, we had some people out there, hopefully everybody made it here. The other thing we're excited about was that we have this larger space. It was unavailable for the first meeting, so we're happy to have a little more space. I think they put the Christmas trees up just for us. Okay, probably not, right? Okay, but we're delighted to have you here. As Joyce said, my name is Michelle Bono. I had the opportunity to work with Ormond Beach in the 2018 OBlife series. And if you were here last time, you may have heard me say, it was named the best citizen engagement in the state of Florida from every city and county across the state by the Florida League of Cities. So how Ormond Beach and the mayor and the commission support getting your voice is something that's been recognized across the state. So I think that's a pretty impressive thing. So what are we going to do tonight? We're going to still focus on quality of life because that's the whole reason we're having this discussion. What happens in this Westward area that impacts potentially impacts quality of life in Ormond Beach? That's what we know you folks care about. I also appreciate the city's work to be proactive, trying to get ahead of some of these issues as opposed to waiting till it's all built and we have 10,000 new homes, and then we're figuring out what do we do, right? So it's nice to be in front of this issue. The other thing, and it worked really well last time, as Joyce mentioned, we had a lot of participation from people online. I think at the time we held the meeting, there were about 150, 180 people that came and watched online. Since that time, there's been several hundred more, so almost 500 people have watched all or part of the meeting online, as well as the people who came in person. And again, we thank you guys for being here in person. For those of you who took part in the OBlife series, this follows that same general format. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing. On every table, there is a bowl. Those, we call them fish bowls, and we will fish questions out of them to be answered later on. So if you hear anything in any of the presentations that you have questions about, just please take the paper in front of you, write on it, put it in the fish bowl. The questions that don't get answered here tonight, because usually we have more questions than we have time to answer, will be answered on the city's website. In fact, I believe the questions from the first meeting are on the website now. So if you submitted a question and you want to go look for those answers, it's ormondbeach.org/OBlife. Did I get that right, Jen? Okay. That is the website. The other thing I want to remind people is that if you are at home and watching this from home, you will be able to also submit questions to be answered as well. So that's really important. If you're at home, you could email those questions to OBlife ormondbeach.org. They will get answered as well. So we want to be sure that folks who are not here in person have just as much opportunity to take part. We are going to be doing some polling. We'll talk about that in just a moment. There will be at the end a chance for some table discussions. When we do table discussions, I'll remind you of this then, but we're going to ask you to use your sticky notes and answer your question with sticky notes, and then we'll ask you your top priority, which you'll be able to share as well. So we'll go through all that when we get there. So if you remember from the first meeting, we talked a lot about transportation, we talked about roads, we talked about economic development, and what we think would be happening with the new development. Tonight we're going to look at some additional parts of quality of life, and we're going to start by hearing more about what has happened in terms of I started a historical overview. That's not it. We're going to start with looking at issues that relate to leisure, because leisure is an important part of what we do. So our first speaker, am I correct on leisure? Thank you. Okay, thank you. We're going to start with utilities. And so we're going to talk about some questions came up at the meeting last time about water service. And why is the city of Ormond Beach involved in this? So we have a great opportunity to learn a historical perspective about water. All right? We'll start with that. All right, and telling us about that utility service agreement is going to be Sean Finley, who is our Public Works Director for the City of Ormond Beach. Sean.
Thank you, Thank you, Michelle. I knew I was first, but when you said it was leisure services, I was starting to sweat a little bit, so hopefully I can handle utilities a little bit better. We're going to start off with some polling questions. Is that how we're starting off here?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I can handle it too if you'd like.
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you. Had a little agenda of
okay.
mess up there. All right, so everyone should have on their table a little device that looks like this. All right? I like this because, sorry, let me say it in the microphone. I like this because it is low tech. All right? And so what we're going to do is start off with these polling questions, and I'll read the question, and when you decide your answer, you can just push the number on your device that relates to the answer that you pick. You do not have to push the button that says send. When you pick a number, that's what's going to be your choice. If you, by chance, hit the wrong number, then you are going to be able to hit another number, and it will take your last response. All right, so let's give you some examples of how this works. So the first question is, what is your favorite winter holiday activity? If it is spending time with family, it is number 1. If it's eating holiday food, some of us enjoy that, it's number 2. Opening gifts is number 3, and holiday traditions is number 4. All right, I can see down here we've got 10 or 11 people that have already done it. Just pick anyone. We're doing this first question just to get us used to it, and then we'll have some questions to learn more about who is in the room tonight. All right, keep putting them in if you haven't yet. All right, we're holding at that number. I think we can go. All right? And we're going to see what was the top choice. Okay. All right. This is a good group. Spending time with family was number 1. Eating holiday foods was number 3. And holiday traditions number 4. Okay, is it true nobody in the room picked opening gifts? All right. Okay. Now we're going to get to find out a little bit about who's in the room tonight. So this next question is, where do you live? Where do you reside? Number 1 is in Ormond Beach beachside within the city limits, Ormond Beach mainland but east of I-95, Ormond Beach mainland west of 95, or outside the city limits. Please grab your clickers and put those in for us so we know who's in the room tonight. All right, last chance. Anybody else want to add there? All right. Okay, this is a little more divided. At our first meeting, we had the vast majority of people lived west of 95. Today, Ormond Beach site within the city limits was the smallest. It looks like we're tied with east of 95 and west of 95. And then we've got about 20% of the folks that were here from outside the city limits. Okay, next question. How long have you had your connection to Ormond Beach? And that can be that you've lived here, you were born here, whatever is your connection to Ormond Beach. Is it 5 years or less? Push 1. 6 to 10, push 2. 11 to 15, push 3. 16 to 20, push 4. And more than 20 years, push 5. We'll see how that compares to last time. Okay, this is the same. We had this same response, which I think is phenomenal. More than 20 years is 60% of the people here tonight. So I think last time it was maybe even a little bit larger. A lot of folks who've invested a lot of time and energy and family in this community. Next biggest one is 5 years or less, followed by 6 to 10, and then 16 to 20. That middle, 11 to 15, not so much, all right? Okay, last thing, just to help us understand a little bit about the group in the room. Can you share with us what your age is? By the way, this is anonymous. We don't know who you are when you do them, right? You can be honest. Those of us who have recently had birthdays, we can be honest. All right, let's see. Okay, the number 1 is 65 to 75. Number 2 is over 75. Number 3 is 35 to 54. And then the rest of them included in there as well. So a very good, diverse group of folks tonight. So I think that'll help us with getting a lot of perspective, which is really important. All right, I will come back and introduce you. Thank you for the instruction to hear more about utilities and what this agreement means. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Now we're going to talk about some utilities here. So last month when I spoke about one of our other technical issues, which is probably the one that had the most questions everybody had, is transportation. Not by too much smaller a margin. I think we've got have had a lot of questions, people asking us about utilities. And so we've tried to distill this into really some simple questions. And I think that's really the best way to address this is through the simple questions of what,